Hello everyone, I am Bradley Sward, Associate Professor of Computer Information Systems at the College of DuPage in Glen Ellyn, Illinois. And this video is the second and final part of setting up a game called Boxxle using GameMaker Studio 2 drag and drop interface. So first video we did all the gameplay, so fall back on that if you don't have that going for you. And now what we're going to do to finish up this game is set up a main menu. And then maintain, while we're playing the game, maintain how many steps the player took, or to move around and move all the boxes around. And then also maintain best score per level, which means persistent objects. So this time around, I created two separate sprites. So I have a 720p plus resolution for just a background sprite for my main menu. So I just found a graphic from the internets, stole it, put it in here, and just put a little graphic on top called Boxing Day. So notice it's 1326 by 720. In this case, it's okay because we're not going to scale it or anything. We can lose a couple pixels on the one side without having any worry. And so the other object here is the main menu button sprite. And so this one, I have my buttons. I have two animations because we're going to have a mouse enter, mouse leave. You'll see this as we go here. Shouldn't be hard to do. Once we get this going, do it one time, copy paste it 4 times over. So I have a 500 by 150 sprite. My first animation frame, animation 0, has a blue color with a yellow border, and I just reversed it so that the other image is yellow with the blue border. And so this is going to be the mouse non-mouse over state and the mouse over state. And so then we'll be able to click the buttons and go to the menus. And I haven't set any of that up yet. I have level 1 done from the other time, but I don't have anything else. So I'm going to create this room. So I'm going to create the main menu room. Drag it to the top. There we go. And then again, change my resolution to 720p. And so now I can go ahead and go into the background layer and change the sprite so that I can use my main menu sprite. There you go. And again, it's not, see, you're not going to notice that. You're not going to notice that thing over here. This isn't that's missing. Go back to instances. So right now you run the game. Obviously nothing will happen in the moment if my main menu room is my first room, but there is my game and there is my menu. And now I'm ready to kind of get going on this thing. Okay, so a button, pretty simple stuff. So I'm going to create a quick game button. And we'll be able to, again, we'll duplicate this so that it works a few times over. And we'll use the main menu button sprite, obviously. And so just to kind of get things out of the way here on create, I don't want this thing to flash. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is set my image speed to 0 because it's got two animations. The animation is going to be set by other events here, as you'll see in a second. So my image speed will be 0. On mouse enter, I will set my image index to 1. And on mouse leave, I will set my mouse image index to 0. 1 and 0, 1 and 0. So let me put this quick game into the room. Just put it over here in a moment, and let's try it out. And so the only thing we have going for right now is the mouse. Uh-oh. What did I do wrong? Doop, doop, doop. Hold on one second. The image index is 0. Image index, oh, I thought I put a 1 in there. Mouse enter, maybe I switched it. Maybe I was just going too fast. When I'm using mouse enter, I want my image index to be 1. And when I leave, I want my image index to be 0. So I'll try one more time. Well, these things happen. Okay, so there we go. So mouse enter, mouse leave. All right, so now I want to draw text, but I really don't want to bake it in because it would take forever to create all these different sprites. So in my case, what I'm going to do here is, I already have a create for this thing. I'm going to set another variable. I'm going to call it text. And I'm just going to say level 1. Put it in quotes. So that's the text I want to draw. And so I'm going to make this so whenever we go in, we don't have to go change. We'll just go into the create event and change what we need to change for the things we need to change. So now I want to take over the draw event. And so I want to make sure I do a draw self. So basically, because I take over for GameMaker, I'm saying, hey, GameMaker, I know better than you what I want to do here. But in this case, all I want to do is draw what was previously going to be drawn anyway, and then draw text on top of it. That's just my goal here. So in this case, by draw self, I can do that. I can say, okay, draw whatever would have been done if I didn't come in to screw everything up. And then I can draw on top of it with no caption. I can just say whatever the value of my text is at 0, 0 relative. And oh yeah, let me just change this up. Let me just show you this. Let me just run it and then show you. And so there is my level 1 text. And so what we can do here to make this maybe a little nicer is go into the sprite itself and middle center this thing so that now when this thing draws, you'll see it's a little better. Level 1. And so the contrast is a little off, so I guess what we could go ahead say just now is the time to tinker, so it's easy now. Draw set, where's draw set color here? Let's find draw set color. Set draw color to, I'm just going to use black because it's the color that just contrasts with both the best. I'm not going to play around with this too much. Oh, maybe it doesn't contrast too well, but it definitely does in this case. And again, this is just a simple, just to get you going. You can tinker with this to your heart's content. Let's see if I can get the alignment down. Set text alignment, so I can say, okay, center middle. So then now the thing looks even better, even more centered than it did before, which is good. Oh, the text isn't, the font isn't that great, so let's just go ahead and create a font real fast. And so I'll say main menu button font. And I'll just pick any of the random ones I have at my disposal. Sure, regular size 30. I don't know, see what it looks like. Oops, just because I did it does, because I put it there doesn't mean I made it and put it in here. So coming back around, I can add the font, set font, on top of everything else and set it to my main menu button font. There we go. And then now you can see there's my level 1. But I was supposed to make this say quick game, right? So, but anyway, but now it's easy. I just go here, instead of saying level 1, say quick game. And now I can run this. Cool, cool. And notice when I did change the centering, it did move this over. So I'll have to go back into the room here and set this thing and move this thing over one more time here. And again, this is the experimental part. Once we have it working, we're good to go. So there we go. Quit game. So now the last thing I want to do, at least here in the moment, is click and just say when I click it, I am done. So mouse on mouse left pressed. In this case, I want to end the game. Exit game. All right, so I click, 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 and click game's over. Because the left pressed event, the mouse is inside the bounds, I click, done. So that is pretty much all I wanted to do. That is a quit game button right there. So that's that. So the only thing that's going to be different, at least for the moment here, between all these different buttons is what text gets drawn, and then what happens when I click on it. I mean, that's basically it. We're going to leave everything else alone. So right now I have my level 1 room. I'm going to duplicate that to make my level 2 room, because I'm going to. And so in this case, I'm just going to set up 2 different rooms. For the homework assignment, there'll be 3 and so forth and so on, but the sky's the limit when you got this. And I just want to make this a lot simpler, just to have a simple level. Just to have something that's a little simpler than what we did before. Maybe I'll switch this around a little bit so that level 1's the tutorial room. Because this is as tutorial as you get, right? Oops, I hate this thing. No, don't do that. No. Don't even know what it's trying to do sometimes. Come on, level 1, there we go. So main menu room, level 1 room, which is the easy one, level 2 room, which is the slightly more complicated one. So now I have 2 rooms. And so now I want to set up buttons for those things too. So I can duplicate what I have here for quit game. Duplicate. And again, the only difference here is what text do I want to draw? Level 1. And then change the name of my button here. Level 001 button. and then on mouse left pressed, instead of exit game, I want to room go to room level 1, right? Obviously, right? And then once I have that, now I can duplicate this for level 2. And the only real difference now is changing variable type here, changing the name of the text, and which room do I go to? I go to the other room. And now, with that all said and put in place, I can drag my two levels. And it's unfortunate, you can see this already in GameMaker. You don't get to see the text because the game's not running, so it does kind of suck like that. It really does, but it is what it is. But now when I run the game, there we go. There's my level 1, there's my level 2, there's my quit game option. Again, quit game exits the game like I expected it to do. Level 1 will go to level 1, which is my easy room. There we go, you beat the level. Oops, now maybe we can fix this up too. And level 2, oops, run this one more time. And level 2 will take me to the harder room. Good. So yes, maybe I want to set this up before we get going to make this controller object. Instead of doing a room restart, and since I'm writing code, I could just do room go to, and I can say main menu room. So I can say go back to main menu. And we're going to fix this up. You'll see this in a little bit too. We're going to have to fix the code up one last time. But now I beat my level. Whoops, sorry. I always forget. I beat my level, and then it takes me back to the main menu. And if I want to, I'm not, well, it's not too fast. It won't take too long for me to do this to prove that it works in both cases. Okay, you beat the level, and there we go. Cool. So we're working it out. All right, so quick game, quick skate. Okay, so that's basically how to get the button system going. So we're only 12 minutes in, not too bad. So now the next step I want to get into is showing how to do a best score. Even though we haven't done anything with the game yet, at least get working toward that. So most objects in GameMaker, normally when you work with them, they come and go. When you create a room, they get created, or they get created while you're shooting bullets, or whatever, dynamically. And when the room exits out, the room, every single object in your room is destroyed. But if I'm going to be maintaining a best score for different levels of my game, that's not going to work very well because I need to maintain between rooms this information. So let's just go ahead. I always create an object, and I usually call it game data. So whatever you name it's whatever, and it's one of these controller type things. We've already done a controller object. So I call it game data, and I'm going to place it in the main menu room. And now, and again, always upper left-hand corner for me. And now the big difference here is there's this little box called persistent. And it doesn't really help you out too much. Well, here we go. Instances of this object will persist between rooms. And that's exactly what I want. I need this object to live. It's because if it dies after it gets out of the main menu and goes into level 1, well, there's no data. The data is lost. So by making it persistent and putting it into the first room of my game, this object will always exist as long as my game is running, which is a great idea. So then what I need to do here is to say on create some variables. I only have 2 rooms, so I can say, I'm just going to say level 001, and I'm going to make it like this is the best score, so I'm just going to make it a really huge dumb number. Because there's 99,999. No one will ever do worse than that, right? Don't try to do worse than that. So I have names of variables, level 001 and level 002. And so these are variables like any other variables. And so the game data object will maintain this. So now what I can do is let me set up a second font, or maybe no, my font isn't hugely big. Yeah, it's not too bad. And again, this is just to kind of get you going. You can tune it up and make it look good as soon as you're done watching my videos here. So what I can do here is go into level 001 button, and inside the draw event, I could basically steal this draw value. I could copy paste it. And now what I want to do, I want to put, I don't know exactly how far down to go. I'll do 35 down. But I'll put here, I'll say whatever my controller object is, game data, dot, that's a dot, period, level 001. So let's see what this looks like in action here. And so level 1, and then the number 99999 gets put underneath it. And so I guess I could put a caption or something like that, or I could put, this is where drag and drop kind of, have to make this a little bigger here, make it easier for you to see. And say, what do I want? I want to say best score, something like that, plus string, and then parentheses around that. And so let's see what this looks like now. All right, that's not so bad. Best score 99999. And I guess just, so I can borrow this, copy this, and all I need to do is move over to level 002 button in the draw event, paste it into here, and say, and just change the 1 to a 2. Everything else can stay the same. And it'll be hard to tell because both of our scores are set to 99999. So maybe if I just go real fast back into the game data object and just change the data just so they're slightly different numbers, so I can make sure that each button is pointing to the correct value. Yep, so 99999 is level 1, 99998 is level 2. So at the moment, it's showing me a best score. And so now my final step here is now to make sure that I can move the player around and keep track of the steps. And then now when the level is defeated, or you beat the puzzle, that you can set the score if your score is better than the best score so far. So okay, since I know it's working, I can put 99999 back. Okay, so pretty simple when it comes to the number of steps, keeping track of that. I can have my hero object. I can also then put a create event in here and set up another variable called steps. And of course, number of steps taken should be 0. And so now all we have to do 8 times over is just go into our code and say every time I move, add 1 relative to the number of steps I've already taken. All right, and so I'm just doing this, just putting this in 8 separate places. And again, it'll be very easy to tell while you're doing this if it doesn't come out right. Okay, so then now the last thing I want to do is the hero is maintaining this data, so he should get a draw. He could get the draw, or you could use a draw GUI just to keep things a little same but different. I'll use a draw GUI event, and then I can draw text, draw value like I did before, caption, steps taken, value is steps, and I like to put this just a little off from the start. And let's see what that looks like. Let's see what the font looks like with it and everything too. Oh boy, it's up here. It's not looking so good because because of the way the centering and everything works out. So I can change the alignment again, and this time put it back to left middle. Oop, maybe our left top. Definitely change the color on that thing. Set draw color to I don't know what. Try blue. Oh boy, maybe white. Oh, there we go. Steps taken. So now you can easily see if this is working. I move, I move, I move, I move. So movements work. I press down, and I can't really test the other things here, but I can go, okay, it moves every time I step. I beat the level. Of course, we don't have any code in here yet, but for level 2, let's see. Push down, push right, push up, and then the only thing left to do is test the push. Well, shoot. But you get the point. Like I said, I didn't, yeah. It's working. It's, as far as I can tell, it's working perfectly fine. So it's keeping track of the number of steps for each level, which is very good. And then every time we restart, because on create, the object gets a 0. So that's what I'm saying, like, okay, it comes back. I try it again. Oh, can't see anything. As always, steps taken 4, but once I start the level again, he's back to 0 again. So it's perfectly legit. Okay. So now the final step for this, to get it done in 26, 27 minutes here, is how do I know if I beat the level? How do I get the best score? And so now the final step here is, since I have two rooms, just to keep it simple, I'm going to create a first and second controller, but I'm going to first get the code working first before I worry about duplicating. So here you go. If you beat the level, show message, you beat the level. Again, this is previous video stuff. And then go back to that room, the main menu room. So here's where I can check if, and my hero is called hero, so hero.steps is less than controller, or I'm sorry, not controller, game data dot level 001, then hero steps equals that. It's basically just, if it's a better score, put it in there. And the object is persistent, so everybody's going to be happy. So this is just to work with level 1. Let's just try it out. So there's my level 1. Let me just make sure I can do this a couple times over. So there we go, 13 steps. Uh-oh, it didn't work. So let's see, what did I do wrong? Controller level 001. If the number of steps taken, oops, I have this reversed. That's what's happening. Then the score should be I just had it reversed. No big whoop-de-doo. It happens all the time. So okay, here we go. Try it one more time. 19 steps, and there it is. There's my best score of 19. So then now I try it one more time. There's my 5. There you go. And I can't beat 5, so it doesn't much matter. And again, this is session data. This doesn't maintain high score forever. So I start back up again, and it's back to where it was. So this is session data, not level data for anything else. So now the only thing left to do, duplicate for the other controller. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to run it. I meant to just edit this and make this controller level 002. Go in here. The only thing to change of this whole code is just change this level 001 to level 002. And then also make sure I put the correct controller in the correct level. So this is controller 002. This is, oops, in the room. This is controller 001. So now, because they're different behaviors, they apply to different rooms, which apply to different buttons, and now it should all work out like we hope. So this will be like back here again. This is 9. There's my best score of 9, and then I can beat this level. I'll do this twice before we call it a day here. This will be 93 steps if I did it right. But I want to make sure I do it more than 93 steps because I just want to test it out in both cases. Okay, and 109. Uh-oh. I didn't do it right. I'd like to say, oh shoot, I'm just going too fast for everything. So I do need to change things in 2 places, not just in 1. I hate the drag and drop. You can't see code for nothing. Okay, so, and I just need to change this so that it's the same level data in both places. Just going too fast. So yes, if I beat the level for 1, I set it to the other. That's not good. You know, that's not good at all. So coming back and doing this one more time. 13 steps. There's my 13, and now I better have my best score for the other. I'm just doing this on purpose just to get some extra steps in. This is programming. You know, if you get it right the first time, you freak out and you go, what did I do? Okay, 117. So there you go. 13 steps on the top, 117 on the bottom. And if I beat this now with my 5, it sets the correct score. And then now this should become my 93 or 94. $93, and there you go. Best score 5, best score 93, and I can't beat, well, as far as I know, I can't beat either one of these. So for the session, that's the best I'm gonna do. So that pretty much covered, I mean, outside of animations and making things look nice and pop, you pretty much have the entire game, and now it's all down to level design, right? Like just creating more levels, different levels with different complexities. Because I mean, this is the complete original game. But, you know, just keeping track of steps and having goals and such and such. So, like I say, if you're my student, now you're going to be doing a homework assignment. You're going to be finishing this up and creating a third level and just kind of get used to the repetition of it all and just to understand how it all kind of ties together. But if you're not a student and you're just watching this from anywhere in the world, then, you know, do whatever you want to do. Always send me some questions. Either you can find my email, swardb@cod.edu, or you can just leave a comment here in the comments section, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And, well, thanks for sticking with it, and we'll move on to bigger and better things next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.